Ladies and gentlemen, ATDF Everything in That Shelf presentation. You're now rocking with TDF Everything. Spoiled Rotten.
Spoiler alert.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Boiled Rotten with me, Daniel.
And Ben.
Now that you know our names, we can tell you that this is a show where we review movies and spoil them. That's how we got the name Spoiled Rotten.
Yeah.
But we also look at things like trailers and headlines, and then we just start talking about it
Yeah,
and
we
what
make
we think.
wild conjectures.
Exactly.
Everything
this is the
like
one.
that.
This is the one.
Based off everything. And thanks to our, you're listening, obviously, to us on our home at That Shelf. So yeah. We are doing some really, really cool stuff today. We're going back to back. That's a huge thing.
You're
last
lucky,
week,
guys.
of course. Yeah, if you caught last week's episode on Fantastic Beasts, this week we're doing Creed 2 as the main entree. But before we get into that, we're going to go into not that much news. There's not that much right now.
Let's just talk about some trailers.
We're talking
for
about some trailers that have us pretty excited. Yeah.
Lion King. That's a thing that we
Oh
watched.
my god, yeah, that has got me so hyped up. I love it. It's good.
I mean, this is one of those things where, like, I'm gonna probably like the movie. The trailer did nothing for me, though.
Really?
Yeah, I just
Oh,
like
man.
it's not like it's a bad trailer. I'm just like, I'm already gonna watch this. This isn't like, it's kind of like how I felt about Avengers: Infinity War. I was like, I'm gonna watch this. I don't really care. Like, at this point, they're not showing me anything that's making me be like, oh. I'm just
Yeah.
like, because it's like, yeah, you're doing a shot for shot thing of Lion King.
Yep.
If they had shown me like new elements that I could be like, oh, like cool, like I didn't know they were gonna go that way with it.
Right.
That would be different. But if you're just showing me like the same stuff but with updated animation, I'm just like, yep, that
See,
looks like what I liked.
Those are very, very fair points because they were like shot by shot remakes of the original like scenes and all that kind of
I
stuff.
think maybe the Mufasa stuff is new, like some of
new
it.
recording
like,
of the
well, I
dialogue.
mean, obviously it's
For
new recording.
sure.
You can hear
You
that
can
in his
hear
voice,
the
but like,
age and
I don't know
Mr.
if he
James
changed
Earl
what he
Jones.
said. Like, I feel like there's some like
there might be some
he
updates.
switched
to
some
the
stuff
dialogue.
up. Yeah.
Maybe, but it's got to be minimal stuff, if anything.
Yeah.
But I think it was very, very clever that they only used James Earl Jones as
'Cause-
Mufasa's voice because pretty much the rest of the cast is
It's new.
brand new.
So this is what I'm saying. Like, nothing about it was new. So I was just like, yeah, that's,
Yeah, but I mean-
that was smart. I like all that stuff. You know it.
Yeah, but it's a teaser trailer. It was
Yeah.
meant to be that. Like once we see like Timon and Pumbaa and Nala and all that kind of stuff, I think everyone's going to be a little bit more hyped up once they hear.
Oh
the
no, I think this
Beyonce
is as
voice
hype
and
as people will
everything
be.
like
I think
Really?
this. I think this. I'm not saying like, oh, they're gonna taper off. I'm just saying like this. What the reaction I've seen to this is like, I can't imagine it getting better the more they reveal. I think they know that. I think they know that like this is a big nostalgia play, and like
Oh, yeah.
they hit you with everything you already know, so that you can be like, oh yeah,
Yeah, 'cause
that's what I
that
like.
Opening
Okay.
song,
Yeah.
just that self. Like the first time I watched it, there was like that quite like animal stuff noise, and I was like, "Play the song, play the song, play
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
the song." And the moment they did, I'm like, "Yeah, baby, we're in business."
Can I just say one thing though? Of all the people they've cast, Beyonce is the perfect choice for Nala. Like, I just feel like her vocal tones, like,
I agree.
I'm like, yeah, adult Nala, that is
Yeah.
Beyonce. Good choice. I'm really interested to hear Donald Glover.
Yeah.
That's what I was hoping to hear, and we didn't hear it. It's a teaser trailer. I'm not like, this is a bad trailer. I think
Right.
this was perfectly done, but
Yes.
to me, like, I'm already gonna watch it. So like, there was no like upside to this.
Yeah.
Really, like, I was either gonna look at it and no, there was only one reaction because all they're doing is showing me updated animation for
Right.
stuff I've already seen.
Yeah.
So I was just like, yeah, okay,
Yeah, and
great.
everyone that's gonna watch this is gonna be like hyped up for the two new songs that are coming in there.
There's 2 new songs.
Yeah, there's 1 or 2 new songs.
Not into it.
I
Just
don't-
do the songs. Just do the
I don't know,
songs.
man. I'm just seeing if they're gonna replace.
Well, is
any
Elton
of the
John coming
songs.
back to do the songs?
I don't know. Well,
not
I mean,
to
he-
sing them, but
not
to write.
to write them. I
Or
don't,
what was
I
it?
don't
Tim
know.
Rice and Elton John?
Maybe I don't know, but I don't know. I'm kind of excited for it. Actually, I'm really excited for it. So it did a lot of stuff.
have
for me
not
right now.
cared about any of these Disney remakes. So the Lion King one, I'm gonna watch it. I can't imagine not liking it. It's just the trailers, all the lead up to it is just going to be like, I'm not saying they shouldn't be doing it. Obviously, if you want to hit the big numbers, you need to have trailers.
Oh,
and
yeah.
everything. I'm just saying for me, it won't mean that much because I'm just like, I'm going to watch this. I already know that.
Perfectly valid points.
Nothing, even if they show me something stupid in the trailer, I'm still going to watch it.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the full trailer come out on this and hear some of those voices.
Yeah.
Gambino being one of the biggest ones. I want to hear.
You got to respect him as an actor and call him Donald Glover. Gambino's the musical artist.
Fair enough. I just like to call him Gambino. I think it's cool. But yeah, Donald Glover. Waiting to hear what Beyonce can do. Chitwell or
Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Yeah, I can never pronounce his name properly.
It's like Chiwetel.
Chiwetel?
Yeah,
Okay.
Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Yeah.
The last name is what I slip up on, but I think it's Ejiofor.
But I think we've established
gonna be
to
a
our
great star.
fan base that we're not good at
Yeah, we're not good
enunciating
at it.
names whatsoever. I think we can even screw up a name like Kate or
Yep.
something like that.
I am really looking forward to Seth Rogen and Billy Eichner as Timon and Pumbaa. I think that's a good
Yeah.
choice. I really like that. Oh boy, how did I forget his name? He's like he's gonna be one of the hyenas. I watch his show. Eric Andre. That's it.
Oh, okay.
I didn't look it up, everybody. I just remembered. Eric Andre is one of the hyenas. I'm into that.
I'm really
so-
looking forward to hearing a little bit of John Oliver doing Zazie.
To me, that's just a lateral move. Like, yeah, he's like you could have brought back Mr. Bean.
Yeah.
Like John Oliver just sounds like Mr. Bean. So like
He does.
Yeah, it's again, it's not a bad thing. It's just like you've just like
There's-
updated the thing. Like
there's nothing
whereas
definitively
Donald
exciting
Glover
about it.
is actually a different tone
Yes.
to Matthew Broderick, and even like age wise, and just what his energy. Beyonce might even elevate Nala because of who she is.
I agree.
Billy Eichner and Seth Rogen are. I mean, I think they're different energies. That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yes.
So, like, yeah, it's John Oliver. It's like, yeah, you could just say exactly the same dialogue, and I'll be like, great.
Yep.
But,
But I just James Earl Jones. Yeah. It's my favorite voice of all time.
he's got a great voice.
Yeah, he
I love
does.
it.
Booming voice. The other trailer that we took a look at today, obviously, was
Once Upon a
the
Deadpool.
Once Upon a Time for Deadpool, the PG-13 cut of Deadpool. Now we're probably not going to review that just
No.
because it's a weird thing to
Not
do.
right after the fact if we do it.
No, if we
'Cause
do,
I
it'll
don't
be
think
like
I'm going-
bonus episode, baby.
I don't think I'm going to the theater to see that.
No,
It looks fun, but I don't think I'll be able to fit it in.
I'm not going to go to the theaters to see it for the sole reason of when you have a PG-13 version, that means you're surrounded by kids. The first time I watched Lego Movie, I was just like, oh my
There'll
god,
be
there's a
just
lot of
as
kids
many
here.
kids as there. Like when I saw the first Deadpool, it was a lot of kids. That
Really,
was what
eh?
was weird. When I saw
That's
the first
weird.
Deadpool, I saw it around the time of Jungle Book. Speaking of Lion King, there's way more kids in Deadpool than there was Jungle Book.
Interesting.
Here's the thing, though: we haven't talked about the trailer.
We haven't.
So, so the framing device, which we should get into later, after we talk about what we liked about this trailer or didn't like,
Yeah.
is that Deadpool has kidnapped Fred Savage
Yes.
so that he can recreate the Princess Bride framing device and then tell him a kid-friendly version of Deadpool 2, I guess?
Yep.
I don't know. He's saying Deadpool, but it looks like only scenes from
it's
Deadpool 2.
Deadpool 2. It's
Yeah.
not Deadpool
So,
1.
Sure, that's fun. I like that, but again, that's why I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to the theater for that. Like,
Yeah.
I will definitely watch it.
I'd probably do
even
it on
if
a
it's
cheap
like,
matinee kind of thing.
even if it's
I
like
wouldn't do it
available. Well, I mean, it's only going to be in theaters for 2 weeks. So like,
Is it really?
yeah. So like, once it hits like PS4, I'll buy it and like rent it at least and watch it. But like, I don't know if I need to rush out and see that again
Yeah, I don't
for
need to.
for that element of it, which is good. But I feel like I got the best out of the trailer.
I agree. There's new footage that they shot for it, or
Or probably just using footage they didn't use in the movie.
that's what I suspect more than anything else. But
All of it is smart. I like.
is
So
smart.
I guess what is good is that Fred Savage has got an attitude about it, and I appreciate that. I like that he's really angry,
Yep.
and that he wishes that it was a real Marvel movie. That's good. All good stuff.
those jabs that they're just given are just so good. Like the whole it's like if the Beatles was produced by Nickelback.
Yeah.
It's still music, but it sucks. It's great. That's a great jab to throw in there.
So I guess the thing that happened is people have uncovered the fact that someone tweeted at Ryan Reynolds like, if you wanted to do a PG-13 movie, you should do it, like basically saying exactly what happened in the trailer. Like it should be that you're telling it to Fred Savage, and then it can be like Princess Bride. Boom, you've solved all your problems.
Yep.
And people are like, he's plagiarizing. I'm like, but like, we haven't seen the credits of the movie. If that person gets credited, then it's not plagiarism.
No.
It's just straight up like, yeah, someone had a good idea and we did it.
Yeah, and also
We don't know if he got compensated. We don't even know if this guy has a cameo in the movie. Like, that could be some of the new footage. Like,
that's one of the issues with like, oh, I'm gonna pitch my idea over the internet.
You shouldn't ever do that.
You should never pitch an idea over the internet. And if someone takes your idea and runs off with it and does it, you have yourself to blame. If you're not pitching something in a,
but again, I don't know that it was just stolen. Like, who knows what happened after?
And
like,
who knows, like, what was
it.
going on in the studio side of things? They're just like,
well,
hey,
that's the thing. That's why you should also just never send your script to someone unsolicited, because like,
you should have representation.
That's what happened to the Matrix people. Like, this woman, well, I don't think I think she actually proved they just straight up stole it from her. But like,
it's arguably what happened with the Stranger Things thing.
Yeah, like don't do stuff like that unless you're willing for them to, like. Well, that's the thing. They're not. You've basically decided they're not going to do your idea.
Yes,
because if they see it, then this happened. Yeah. So that's why I'm saying, knowing all that, I don't understand how people have jumped to the conclusion that they stole the idea. Because usually what happens is if someone throws an idea like that, they've burnt that idea.
Yes.
No one can use it now.
Yep.
Because everyone will get pissy about it.
Yep.
Yeah,
don't do that.
It's like, if you really want it to happen, do the proper channels.
Yeah.
Don't throw it out there like that, because you're putting, it's a legal thing of like, they can't use any element of that without like, and like, you're not part of the Writers Guild, so that it's just way more complicated than you think. If you actually have a good idea, don't do that.
100%.
So who knows how this person's going to be compensated, because everyone's saying it's a real tweet and it is exactly what this trailer is. So my assumption is that he's been compensated some way for that idea, or I don't even know if it's a woman or not. The point is, the person who tweeted this,
gender neutral.
The person who tweeted this, I can't imagine that they would just, even if that was always their plan, that person has put them in this situation, so that something must have to happen. The Lego movie, the second part, or whatever they want to call it.
So it's very, very interesting, because the way Will Arnett advertised it, it seemed like the first promotional kind of image that we saw was Will Arnett, and it seemed to me to be so Batman heavy in this one, and the trailer wasn't reflective of that.
I didn't see any Will Arnett stuff. I only saw Chris Pratt stuff. That's interesting.
No,
I'm clearly out of the loop.
Yeah, Will Arnett, I think, tweeted or Instagrammed or something like that, like the first official like image of whatever, of a poster or whatever, and it was all about the Batman thing, the Batman Lego guy he plays.
That's funny and smart.
So it seemed very, very to lean into the Batman character a lot more, but the trailer wasn't reflective of that, so it was very interesting.
Because this is the second trailer they've done.
Is it?
Yep. The first one is basically everything from this without that like Burt Macklin knockoff character and Tiffany Haddish, but everything else is the same.
Okay. I don't think I caught that teaser.
So that's why it's like, I think it's funny because obviously you're coming off of Lego Batman movie, so it would make sense for that character to be like, yeah, it's my movie again.
I agree.
That's funny, and then have a trailer that basically, I don't even think he has a line in that trailer.
Well, he has one or two.
No, I'm talking about the first one.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And so the second one, yes, he says for Tiffany Haddish's character, Queen, whatever I want to be, like, change back to the horse. This octopus thing's crazy. I like this trailer. I really like the first Lego movie. I really don't know. I think we've come to an age of like, it happened to you with Deadpool 2 as well, and where you're like, oh, like, wow, that really surprised me. I didn't think it could be that good, and it was that good. And then you've really got high expectations for the sequel.
Yeah.
So I feel like it will probably play out a lot like that. It's a different team and everything. But like, it's just like that first one was like, wow, like who would have thought a movie about Lego could be this interesting and fun? Like more than funny, it was like I actually cared about the characters. So like it'll be interesting to see, and I think they've added enough new parts here for it to be interesting. I do like that it's the Chris Pratt character that is like a proxy for like everything he's done.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the Jurassic World, Guardians of the Galaxy, and I guess people really think he should be Indiana Jones. That's the archaeologist part of it.
Yeah, I don't hate that idea.
Yeah, he's not going to be.
It's
that.
not gonna happen.
But like, I like that even this movie is playing on the fact that people are like, yeah, like he should be Indiana Jones.
Yep.
And obviously it's a Burt Macklin because it reminds me of his character from Parks and Rec, where he's got that secret identity that he turns into like. I guess Johnny Karate, but it doesn't Burt Macklin have a segment on the Johnny Karate show?
When they did that final season, he's got that one episode where it's all about him.
Yeah.
And Johnny Karate character. He does have a Burt Macklin persona in that thing. So
I like
that. That was a lot of fun.
Did you see? Because that's what I saw before this trailer was Chris Pratt just had the 2 Lego pieces in his hand.
Yeah.
And he's like, hi, I'm Emmett. And then he's like, I'm Bill. I don't even know the character's name.
Yep.
Like Rugged something or whatever. And like, I was like, man, this could be the trailer too. I would like this.
Yep.
It was pretty funny. So yeah, that was good. There's some new people. His friends get stolen and he's got to work with. I'm just going to keep calling him Burt Macklin because I don't remember the character name. Emmett has to work with Burt Macklin to get it back. It seems like he's also feeling some way like he did in Infinity War about the more rugged man coming along and trying to copy him.
I didn't even draw that parallel. I thought that's hilarious. That's hilarious.
Yeah, so that all of that works for me, and I like all the meta stuff about Chris Pratt and stuff.
100%. It was really, really good. Very well done trailer. I agree. There's a lot of high expectations based on the first one and all that kind of stuff. What I've started to learn, and this is going to lean into today's podcast about like what to expect, or what I've started doing after like the first one blows me away or something like that. It's just like I expect less from the sequel. Because I don't, in many ways, I don't think it possibly can do the same thing. And this is my issue with sequels or like a franchise in general. You're always going to compare between the two. So does it ruin the first one? Does it make the first one better? I don't know. It's very rarely that you can have a franchise that the sequel is better than the original, but the original still stands alone. I think still my best example of that would be the Ace Ventura thing, where it's like Ace Ventura 1 was good, Ace Ventura 2 was better, but I think
you're the only one that thinks that.
Really?
Yeah.
I loved
I thought you were going to go Star Wars.
No.
For sure.
No, because the issue I have with Star Wars is I'm constantly ranking them against each other. But like to me, Ace Ventura 1 and Ace Ventura 2 are such different movies.
I thought you were going to go Dark Knight, Batman Begins.
No.
Dark Knight is way better than Batman Begins.
Dark Knight is way better than Batman Begins for sure.
And Batman Begins is still good.
It's still good, but then you start drawing all those little things.
Godfather 2, Godfather.
Yeah, never really watched The Godfather. I've never really
I just thought it was
The
interesting you
Godfather.
went with Ace Ventura, where that was the movie that made Jim Carrey be like, I'm never doing a sequel again.
Really, eh?
Yeah. I mean, he did.
He
and
did,
it didn't go well.
And it was terrible.
But like, he was like, nope, no more sequels.
Why did he do that? Because
it's not that good of a movie. I think if you
Ventura
watch
2, I loved it.
Don't get me wrong. I like it more than most, but no one thinks it's better.
Really?
Yeah, no one thinks it's better.
No, there were so many moments in that movie that I'm just like, this is comedic gold. It really is. I don't get it. I mean, I can't compare both of them together.
So yeah, good. You gotta set your expectations for sequels.
Yeah.
I don't think I would frame it as I expect less. I think we talked about it with Ant-Man and Wasp in particular. What I like about the MCU is usually their sequels either redefine or go deeper with characters. I didn't think they did that with Ant-Man and the Wasp, so it didn't feel like a better sequel. It didn't feel it's. What I liked about Deadpool 2 that I think you didn't feel the same way about was that it found a new way for him to find a connection. The first one is about his connection with Vanessa. I don't remember her name.
Yes.
This one was him being able to connect with someone he can't have sex with, and it like sexualized. It was more of like a family issue thing. So that was what I like about. That's what I look for in sequels. You can't surprise me again, really, if you are being true to. Otherwise, you're just blowing things up and then like doing reaches.
For the Deadpool.
Yeah.
You can't.
So no, but I'm saying any sequel. Like what you need to do is, for me, I'm not saying this is. I'm like, hey, no, these sequels in it. But like, what we like about Dark Knight, yes, Joker is great, but like you're still digging deeper into what Bruce's what he's actually going through. Like, yeah, he sets it up in Batman Begins, like, this is just a symbol, but like you're really like they really follow that through line of like, no, like I think I can make Harvey Dent like the person that doesn't even need to wear the mask anymore. Like, it's doing stuff with your main character that is going deeper and showing something. So that's what I look for. It's not like, oh man, like it wasn't as funny because I was expecting those jokes. It's more like, well, what did they do with these characters that like gives me a deeper understanding of them, or at least like,
or shows that they're growing in different directions. And Dark Knight does that very well because he's like, listen, I don't want to do this forever. And like that dialogue scene at the dinner table that really echoes that. It's like, he can't possibly want to do this forever. All this kind of, and he just really thinks about it. He's like, listen, he put half of Gotham away without a mask and like all that kind of stuff. It was that fleshed out that idea of like, this is a symbol. The symbol stands for something now, and it's doing it
because they even start with the people in the hockey pads, and that's not what he wants. He doesn't want people to like continue doing that. He's like, no, like I'm helping, like I'm inspiring people to like do this the right way.
Yes.
And that's more what he wanted.
Yeah.
So anyway, all of that to say, let's talk about the Birds of Prey movie.
We can also talk really, really quickly about Guillermo del Toro revealing his list of favorite superhero movies of all time.
Yeah, let's talk about that after this.
Okay.
So Birds of Prey is possibly called "And the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn." I thought that was just a joke on Margot Robbie's script, because that's her Instagram.
Yeah.
If you go to Margot Robbie,
it just looks like
she kissed it, and it's written in, but apparently that is legitimately the name.
Yeah. So that was some clever stuff on her end, because I was
is it clever?
It was clever marketing or whatever it was. But originally, I was just like, oh, she's really taking this character seriously. She's like loving it and all that kind of stuff. That she even, went method to a degree of like, this is what Harley would do and all this kind of stuff, and write that down and like kiss it and draw all those pictures. But no, that's the actual thing. So
we'll see.
It's really,
I think
really
that is
their
intention right now, is for that to be the name of the movie.
Yeah.
Well, I thought that was interesting. I mean, it makes it, because Birds of Prey, you don't usually think of Harley Quinn as like. I mean, in the like pilot for the show Birds of Prey, she is the villain. But what I'm saying is like, they're making it seem like she's part of the Birds of Prey. So I think it's an interesting. That's a nice way of like, again, who cares about titles? But it does set expectations of like, this is her like. More than Suicide Squad, this is her turning a new leaf idea.
You know what's really, really cool too? I saw, speaking of titles, not that this is real in any way, shape, or form, because we would have talked about this already, but someone with like, I get good like photoshopping skills or digital media kind of stuff made a couple of mock-up posters for the fourth Avengers movie where they titled it Avenge Us. And I thought that was really, really clever. They're probably not going to go that way, but I'm like, that's just from a title standpoint. I'm like, that's pretty clever.
So all I know is the Russos have now said the name of the movie has been said in previous Avengers movies.
I don't even trust the Avengers anymore. They're just like just wishy-washy. I mean, the Russo brothers.
All they said was it wasn't said in Infinity War, but now they're saying they're saying in previous Avenger movies. So it's not Avengers Assemble, because they've never said that.
Yeah, they really know how to get me to marathon movies.
And that's what they're saying. And also, like, there was supposed to be a trailer this weekend. Obviously, we're not reacting to it, so it hasn't happened yet.
Yep.
But also, I don't think it is. And also, they've said a bunch of things. Yep. So I don't even know about the title thing, but I can see that. I can see them being like, it's something that someone said in a previous one, not Infinity War.
Sure. I would love if it was just Avengers and that was it, and just to mess with us.
Okay, so
because
Guillermo
they're
del
having
Toro.
a lot of fun doing this. I think they really are with that like.
No,
Instagram
I think they've
photo.
come down to like, we're stressed now.
Yeah,
I don't think. I think they had fun, and now they're like, shit, we've built this up way too much.
There's also the very quick news of Julie Andrews being a monster in Aquaman. And you made a good point before we started.
So this means that Julie Andrews, the original Mary Poppins, will be in a movie that is directly competing with the sequel to Mary Poppins with Emily Blunt.
Yep.
She really hates that franchise. I don't know.
You take that.
Take
Emily
that,
Blunt.
Emily. Fuck you.
Yeah.
It'll
You and
be interesting to
Krasinski.
see.
No.
It'll be interesting to see who comes out on top that weekend. I think there's too many movies.
Yeah, that's gonna be an interesting box office weekend for the Christmas
Yeah.
day and all that kind
There's
of
not
stuff.
enough people who care about going to the movies to like support these movies that probably need big opening
Yeah.
numbers.
The funny thing about that, and in terms of American ticket sales, apparently their pre-sales have gone live for the Aquaman already, and it has outsold all of Venom already.
Yeah, but that.
But I mean, that's not even. I don't think
That's
fair.
not a fair thing because what happened was if you're an Amazon Prime user, you can get tickets for 5 days ahead.
Yes.
So there's 2 streams of income coming in.
Yes.
Which Venom didn't have.
Yep.
Which Infinity War didn't have. So like all those numbers, yeah, but like that's 2 streams of people that are getting tickets because you can get that 5 days ahead, and then you can get like day of as well.
Yeah, it's very clever what they did. Of course, Daniel and I are still watching the Canadian Cineplex sites to see when the trailers go live. I mean, when the advance tickets go live, and the moment they do.
Ben is. I'm just like, I'm sure I'll be able to see it.
Yeah, usually when they go live, I'm the one texting you and being like, "Hey,
I've
man,
done
it's
it in the
gone
past,
live."
but there's been no movie that I care about that much. I care about Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
That one I'll care about. But
Yes.
I am fairly confident I'll be able to get tickets to Aquaman.
Oh, we'll be able to get tickets.
Yeah.
I'm just, and this is funny because I am obsessed with having a good seat.
Oh yeah, no,
Which is what the Ultra AVX has set me up for, which is why I'm always like, oh, it's live now. Which is funny because I guess we're gonna get into. No, do we want to do the Del Toro thing?
let's
we'll do the
Guillermo
Del
one.
Toro thing, but it relates to the Creed 2 that we had. So Del Toro recently tweeted out some of his list of his favorite superhero films.
Is Hellboy on it?
What's that?
Is Hellboy on it?
Surprisingly not.
He's an idiot.
Humble
I
move.
do not take it
Very,
seriously.
very humble. So in this tweet, he's got Sam Raimi's Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2.
Of course.
Blade.
Yep.
Richard
Not
Donner,
even Blade 2. Good for him.
Not even Blade 2, yeah. Richard Donner's Superman and
Good choice.
Lester Donner Superman 2. Batman Returns from Tim Burton. Chris Nolan's Dark Knight. Coogler's Black Panther.
Good.
Unbreakable by Shyamalan.
Boo.
Yeah, that's a weird one. X2, X-Men United.
Great.
Arguably one of the better ones.
I go back and forth between that and First Class.
Yep, I agree.
My
that's
favorite.
one of the best X-Men movies out there. Guardians of the Galaxy, Iron Man, Logan, and Wonder Woman.
Yeah, fine. I don't. It's not like he said anything that I'm like, what? No.
Yeah,
Other than Unbreakable, but I know people love Unbreakable.
Yeah.
I had it ruined for me before going to see it, so like,
for
me, I was just like, okay. I know. Well, now that you know it's a superhero movie, it's kind of ruined.
Yeah, it is
That's
kind of ruined.
the whole thing is waiting for confirmation that it's a superhero movie.
Yep.
So someone telling you this is my favorite superhero movie, it's a lot of just waiting around being
Yeah.
like, okay, I know this is a superhero movie, so we don't need any of this.
So, I mean, the only thing that really glares out widely regarded as some of the best superhero movies of all time is like the second Captain America. That was omitted from this list, but
He
I don't
seemed
know.
like he had a very specific, other than Black Panther, which I understand why you would watch that. He seemed like he had a pretty specific time frame.
Yep,
Although Guardians of the Galaxy did come out the same year as Winter Soldier.
correct.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's great.
Great list.
I don't disagree with his list. Why would I?
Yeah.
I don't really have any other thing other than you picked good movies. Yeah. Obviously there could be more, but that's the problem with the top 10 list.
Yep.
Stuff has to be loved. I mean, you could have done without putting both Supermans on there. I would say.
Yeah.
You know, like Superman 1 is good.
Yeah.
I get that they're both good, but maybe you just represent them with one of them.
Yeah. As opposed to.
And you don't need both Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, I would definitely put Spider-Man 2 over Spider-Man. For sure.
Yeah, I think they're both they're both good, but I'm
good.
just saying, like,
Yeah.
if you're doing a top 10, 4 of them can't be eaten up by like the original and the sequel.
I mean, it could be. It's his list, right?
I mean,
I
here
just
we
think
are.
I think it's good on him to not be so ego-filled to put, like, Hellboy is the best superhero. But, obviously because he made it.
Or Hellboy. I mean, Blade, too.
Or Blade 2, which he also did. Anyways, let's get into the entree.
Yeah, Creed 2.
Pow, 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 baby. Creed 2.
There's no tagline or anything or subtitle.
Creed
it's just
2,
Creed 2.
The
Good.
Creedening. It's ridiculous.
So you felt like a kid again because you couldn't get a...
Yeah, so this is where it comes back. So when I watched it, I don't know if this is your experience, but I did not have Ultra AVX, and there was no 3D. So I actually had to go there early, get my ticket.
So did I.
And just to make it really nostalgic, I paid for it with cash. This plastic stuff. That's just my way of budgeting myself right now. Anyways, pay for it with cash. I'm like, just the entire time, I'm like, holy shit. This feels like it's 1999. It was a fun little experience. It was stressful nonetheless, but it was a fun little experience.
Yeah, we had to get there early
Yep.
just to make sure that we had seats.
Yeah, how dare you to...
No AVX
Yep.
showing.
Yep. But that didn't take away from the movie. I still got the best seats in the house.
Oh, good.
Yeah, in my opinion. I was the first one there. Yeah.
We still weren't the first one there, and I think we were there an hour ahead.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Eh? Which theater did you go to? Like, you went to Scotiabank, right?
No, Arlington Town Center.
Okay, cool.
Free parking, baby.
Yeah, yep. That's right. That's why I'm going
Not really in your neighborhood, though.
No, I went to Fairview.
Yeah, free parking.
No, not Fairview.
Oh.
Yorkdale.
I did see that on your Instagram.
Yorkdale.
Still free parking.
Much, much closer. Free. Yorkdale's got some weirdness going on. Before they were like, oh, it's free parking if it's 2 hours and under, and then you have to pay over. And I'm just like, how are you enforcing this? I don't understand. I think they got rid with the thing. I don't think it's a thing anymore. It's a dumb decision.
Why would you try and limit the amount of time someone wants to spend in your place of buying things?
Exactly. And then also, it's just like, I hate malls this time of year. And I went on Thursday, so there was still Black Friday stuff going on and Christmas stuff going on. And it's not as bad as it used to be.
I just saw a video of what Yorkdale looked like last night, and it gave me anxiety.
Oh, yeah? Oh, from the Black Friday stuff?
People try... No, it's... I mean, I'm assuming, but it's people trying to get to the subway.
Oh, yeah, it's a nightmare right now. That construction is horrible. Like, it's just the biggest jerks of all time. Yep, that'll do it.
All right, let's talk about this movie and not about the mall. What did you think?
I liked it.
Me too.
I wanted Coogler back. I mean, him as a producer was great. I wanted him directing again.
One thing I will say the difference is, and I don't think it's a bad difference, but Coogler's had a bit more energy to it.
Yeah. But
again, I think this more the slower pace made more sense for the story they were telling.
I agree.
I do. I mean, it meant that it wasn't like popping the way like there was so much energy. But I think that speaks to like, I mean, who knows? But to me, I read it as like this is the energy you need for this story. As a lot of the first movie is his like raw nerve stuff.
Yes.
And this is him more thinking about stuff. So I not that I liked The Dark Knight Rises that much, but it's had a lot of similarities to Dark Knight Rises in terms of like there's even like I feel like they had a falling out in the first Creed, but like the fallout in this one between Rocky and Creed was a lot more like, I have cared for you since I heard your voice crying through the things, and then you're like, don't do this, Creed, you're gonna hurt Rocky's feelings. And then he's like, oh, I don't need you then, and I'm like, no, they're breaking up, and then he gets broken because he went out there like Rocky told him not to. And, I mean, at least in this one, though, Rocky gets to come back and be with him instead of just being, I failed you. Oh, I'm done. You died. So that was good. I mean, a nice parallel. But I think it's a movie that lends itself to that because then
yes, it does.
I don't need to see Creed in a bat suit and feel like I'm losing out on time with Batman in a Batman movie. So it worked out. And what I really liked was that at the last, I turned to Pauline before the last fight, and I was like, I mean, I don't know that I want Drago to lose necessarily.
Yeah.
It's really like this
That
could
was
really
the hard part
have
about
some
this
hard. This could be some real bad repercussions if he loses for him. I really like. I don't get me wrong. I was rooting for Adonis, but I was
100%.
like, I was still like, if there was a way they both could win, like that might be nice.
Yeah,
but then
do they do
I got my
draws
cake.
for Chompy?
I got to have my cake and eat it too, because another thing I love in these kinds of sports movies is when like the dad or someone else who was always doubting the person, like who's like, you know what, like you gave it your best. Like I remember, like that's one of the first times I teared up is during the Friday Night Lights movie, not the TV show. This is not about whether or not the TV show is good. I just really like that Billy Bob Thornton movie, Friday Night Lights, and when like Tim McGraw is like, don't worry, son. Like I know I gave you shit the whole movie, but like you had a personal best. I was like, this is great. And then so when Drago obviously spoils it, throws in the towel in the last fight, I was like, whoa,
Dude, that was the
Good
craziest
stuff.
thing to me. I was just like, when I saw the mom leave and like how that hurt Victor in the ring, and then how it also hurt Ivan Drago. Yeah. So how it hurt both of them to see that she left again, or like that was heart wrenching to me. And then the moment he starts to walk off camera, I'm like, don't you ditch him behind too. You're all he's got.
No, I knew he was
like,
gonna. I was like, yeah, they're gonna. And I found out that's it's like every Rocky movie, including Creed, talks about throwing in the towel, and for Drago to be the first person in the series to actually throw in a towel,
that was big.
It's like a nice little character.
Holy shit!
Because I think this movie was written more as a Victor Drago movie.
I agree.
No, it didn't end up that way because the director who came in was like, well, no, we still want to do a Creed movie.
Right.
So things were changed, but I thought that must be elements of what stayed in there.
It must be the best of what was originally scripted.
Because they did still keep the Victor like arc, and I don't think it hurt Creed's arc at all.
No, it didn't.
I thought
to me,
both of them.
beautiful.
I mean, obviously, you don't give that much attention to an actor that I'm assuming can't really speak English.
Yes.
So like, he gets to do most of his lines in Russian, which is good.
Yep.
But I liked. Oh yeah, I do know what the final thing was, but I liked that they didn't just have it be like, oh, Victor's just a bad guy. Yeah. Like you understand why he's doing what he's doing.
So much complexity behind that character.
Because I think what the original script, which Sylvester Stallone wrote, was that he was on steroids, and so when the director came in, he was like, well, then you don't like. Then it erases all the stuff you feel for him if he's just like, and it's not just he's cheating. It's more like, well, then that's how he's winning. You want to actually feel like, no, Creed is losing to someone who's just better. Like you don't want it to be like, oh, that guy's souped up. Like you want it to feel like, no, like this guy's really good, and that it forces Creed to change the way he boxes and stuff like that. Like I liked that. That's one thing I liked about having this new director is that he clearly had a take. Like he wasn't just filling in for some, because if he was just filling in, then he would have been like, yeah, I guess Sylvester Stallone wrote this, I guess I'll just do it. He even brought in Bridget Nielsen, who is Sylvester Stallone's real life ex-wife, and had to be like, so can you think she can be in the movie, or like what's the deal with that? He clearly like had a vision and put it out on the screen for us. So I do like that. Right. I appreciated that. Like it's clear he had a version of this story in his head, and we got to see it. Yeah,
to me, this if anything, this movie was all about parallels, and it was just fascinating for me to see all the parallels run. The biggest criticism I have about this, and it's a big criticism, I feel like Tessa Thompson's Bianca got really sidelined in this movie. I thought she had more screen time, but yeah, it wasn't in service to her character.
Exactly. It was just... because at one point I'm like, oh, like cool, like her and his mom, Felicia Rashad. I don't know her name in the movie.
Marianne Creed.
Yeah, Marianne. Yeah. So like Marianne and Bianca are having all these conversations with each other. Like, oh, it's the Bechdel. I'm like, wait, no. Every conversation they have is about Creed.
Yeah.
Or the kid. I'm like, so it's not passing the Bechdel test. That's interesting that you can have these two women having this conversation and it's still like. Oh boy! Yeah. Yikes!
So that to me was disappointing to see.
The only reason
Tessa Thompson so much and Bianca so much in the first one, I was just like, oh yeah, you're really strong. You're like the one that is paralleling Creed and like obviously in different field and everything like that. But you guys are you're running that parallel, and that's what attracts.
Well,
a
she's
lot
not
of people.
really. She's more of an inspiration to him because she,
Yes.
unlike him, she knows what she wants and she
Right.
knows how she's going to do it.
Yep.
She's obviously got life working against her, but
Mm-hmm.
like I think that's what I liked about their relationship in the first movie is that he looked at her and without having to say anything or shine a lantern on it, like you can tell he's like, wow, I respect this woman
Yes.
who's like knows the clock is ticking and knows that like she literally like, I mean, save for dying suddenly, like can't do what she loves for the rest of her life.
Yep.
Which pushes him to be like, I should just be doing what I love as well. And it comes up in this movie, but again, it's all in service to his stuff when he's like,
Yes.
you know, you wouldn't be any good to anyone if you didn't do what you loved. I'm not going to be any good to anyone, which obviously this movie is dealing with. And again, the Dark Knight Rises thing, which I thought was interesting, whereas in Dark Knight Rises it was about, no, you should be afraid. This one was about, no, stop being afraid and do what you got to do.
Yeah. So that was one of my biggest criticisms there. You're right that the movie just didn't pop with the same energy, and it made sense to not pop with the same kind of energy and intensity that you would expect from a sports movie, because this one's much more character and story driven than the first one for sure. There was a lot of things that I did really kind of appreciate the fact that they just rushed over really quick. I did not care to see a wedding scene or anything like that because I feel like if they did do a wedding scene,
Did they get married or they just got engaged?
I don't know. Like that's the thing. Like they never really.
Doesn't really matter.
There was no dialogue, or maybe I missed it, but there was no dialogue indicating like oh, my fiance, and it's like now he's my wife or something. Like nothing
Right.
like transitioning to be like official status. But I just really appreciated the fact that there was no wedding scene in here, because if there was a wedding scene in there, it would have been just out of context. It would have been weird unless Ivan and Victor really just kind of like showed up and just messed things up to be like, oh, you're definitively the bad guys. But like, no, like the thing I loved about this for Ivan and Victor was the fact that they really, you felt so much for them. You felt so much emotion for them. And it was great. It's the opening scene not being about Creed whatsoever, but just being like Ivan and Victor just, you know, the
way
life
Ivan
that
like
they have.
wakes Victor up with a
Just
punch.
like punches him in
He's
the
like
face.
and then when he sees Rock, he's like, he only knows this. I'm like, that's true. I saw it first before you told me.
Yep.
Like, again, I'm appreciating these movies that are showing and not telling.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, I really liked that relationship, and as I said, I am like, it doesn't matter even if it's how ham-fisted you pull it off.
Yep.
I will always appreciate a scene of the parent or the doubter being like, you know what? No, you did a good job.
Yeah.
I always like it in sports movies.
That made me
It
cry,
really
man.
works. It really works
did.
every time. I'm
It
like,
does.
yep,
Totally.
great. I'm glad like Creed gets to win and be the champion, and he doesn't have to doubt himself. I mean, who knows if he will? But
Yeah,
he
now
can at least for this moment know that he climbed the mountain and he beat.
Yeah, and now he's deserving
Victor,
of the name
and
Creed.
Victor doesn't have to feel like his whole being is tied to whether or not he beats these people up.
Yep.
He can know, you know what? Yeah, your dad does care about you beyond whether or not you can win in the ring. So it really worked for me, and I was like, yeah, this movie.
That moment where he said "it's okay" in Russian, that just killed me. I was like, oh my god, this is so brutal. It
Yeah.
was just such an emotional thing to see. I'm tearing up about it right now a little bit. But yeah, there was so many elements of this movie that I absolutely loved.
I also like the way they shot the fight scenes, or even like when he was training and they were like for the publicity, and he was just like speed punching. I was like, wow, like this is really looking good. And then during the fights, like the way they like shot him like maneuvering and ducking, or even when he got hit, I was like,
some
pretty
great
good.
camera work there for sure. I was the entire time during those fight scenes, I was like, this is amazing. This is really, really good. I also like the fact that, you know, throughout the whole movie, like obviously Adonis, he gets world heavyweight champion within the first act of the movie, and there's
it's the first fight he does.
It's the first fight he does, and it's like the criticisms that he gets thrown his way is like, yeah, he's the world heavyweight champion, but he fought this person 3 years too late and everything like that. All that shade being thrown his way,
But
and
it's also probably the stuff he's thinking already.
100%.
Yeah.
And like even he says that, it's like, but why don't I feel like a champion kind of deal? Like he doesn't feel like he's earned the Creed name, and the whole
Yeah, he still got Johnson on his trunks.
Yeah, he still has Johnson on his trunks until like at the very end.
No, I think he's got Creed and Johnson, but I'm sure at the very end the Johnson's off.
Yeah, at the very end the Johnson's off, but in the first fight Johnson's on his trunks, and it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, this is really really good. The idea that he hasn't earned it, but it's been given.
I
to
even
him
thought it was
thing.
interesting, like that. He loses that fight, but it's still technically a win because the guy got disqualified for
DQ,
punching him while he was down. I was just like, I've never seen that either. That's interesting. I really like.
That was
I
a
like
really
that
interesting way to tell.
He's
the story.
broken, but people are like, I guess technically you're still the champ. But I mean, you got the shit kicked out of you.
Yeah, and like in that hospital scene where like his like stand-in coach was like. So they just made a ruling. You're still the champ, and he just like is despised with that kind of comment. He's like, "I'm not the champ. I don't feel like the champ." And like him being, like him mauling over that decision to be like, "I know the only person I can fight is Drago." And the whole the coach being like that stand-in coach. I forget what his name is.
I'm looking up. I wasn't looking up. I was just looking up the actor name because Wood Harris. I love that guy.
Yeah.
Also,
Tony Little Duke Burton. Apparently,
what's interesting about that is that means 4 Marvel actors in the movie because Wood Harris was in Ant-Man.
Oh,
obviously, Michael B. Jordan is Killmonger. Tessa Thompson is Valkyrie, and Sylvester Stallone was in Guardians of the Galaxy 2 as one of the originals.
Yep.
So. Good for that movie.
Good for
keeping that
movie.
going. Yeah, Wood Harris is great. I really like him. He's on The Wire. Obviously, that's the first time I saw him. I'm pretty sure he's in Oz. And his brother's also in things, and he's cool.
That coach being like that's what I didn't like about that coach, and that's why he lost that. Like one of many reasons why he lost that first fight with Victor was the idea that is like, yeah, I'm not going to push you as hard. He wasn't matching Creed his intensity or anything.
I don't know if that's true because I think if that were true, Rocky wouldn't have come in and be like, "Hey, man, you did a good job." When they're in the hospital together, I think.
Well, what else would you say at that point? Would you throw
I think
shade?
you just wouldn't say anything. You would just ignore him. I think what's more important about that fight is he doesn't know why he's doing it. That's the through line.
Oh, he's blinded by rage at that point.
I mean,
the first fight with Victor.
Yeah, I don't. I mean,
he's
angry. I don't know.
Revenge kind of thing.
That's the thing. I don't think that's the case. I think Rocky is the person that you're supposed to be paying attention to in terms of I don't think Rocky's just like Rocky isn't like that. He wouldn't just say good job if he didn't think it was a good job.
That's true.
I don't think like that's what he's saying. Like before that, like last fight, he says, "Now you know why you're going up those 3 steps.
Yep.
That's why you're going to win this one."
Yep.
So I think that was the point. It didn't matter who his coach was. That's why Rocky removes himself because he's like, "You're going to lose. It doesn't matter who your coach is. You're going to lose, and you shouldn't be doing this." And so that's why he comes back on the last one. He's like, I mean, obviously there's a guilt element, but it's like, I'm going to actually train you up. But like, if he felt at that end of that time that he wasn't ready, and I think that's that whole point where he drops behind the car and he's like, get up, kid, get up, kid. The fact that he gets up visually, yes, says something, but I think that's him being like, I think that's Rocky being like, okay, this guy's ready. Yeah. This guy's ready. He can go into this thing and say that. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it's not Rocky, and that guy doesn't train the same way Rocky does, but also doesn't matter.
Right.
He wasn't ready. He wasn't mentally prepared.
No, mentally he was just.
So I think that's more what the movie is trying to get across.
Yeah, and I really like that idea where even Rocky was like, "Listen, man, you can't fight someone with nothing to lose. That's like you can never win that fight. He's got nothing to lose." And then it got to the point where, like toward the end, like that's just. It was. At first, I was like, "What is that baby? Like, who cares about that?" And then I thought more about it. I was like, "Oh no, wait! He's fighting for something different instead of himself. Now he's fighting for that, and his new wife and all that kind of stuff. He's doing that kind of.
He's got a family now. He's not like
It's not just him alone. He's.
That's what I like about the movie. There's no there's no real fat on it. Like anything you see is leading towards either developing Adonis or Victor.
Yeah.
So everything, and I am also a sucker for like enemies like meeting and like so like when Ivan is at Adrian's, I was just like I know they're not going to fight because that would just be weird, but like this is great. I am entertained by this just the same way I'm entertained by like a boxing scene in this movie. I'm like, come on, give it to me.
I like all the psychological games that they were playing during the whole weigh-in scene, the first weigh-in scene where like he just throws him some shade in the way and he like just starts throwing. Yeah. And he's just like going nuts and all that kind of stuff. He was really it really showed the intellectual, psychological aspect of Ivan Drago's and what he's doing in regards to everything. It was really good to me.
Another thing I read that Sylvester Stallone had in the script or I don't know if it was in this movie, but it was going to be in Rocky Balboa, the one with his son who ends up showing up at the end of this movie. Yeah. I think it was going to be that Drago was dying of AIDS or something, and that Rocky goes to the hospital, goes, if he dies, he dies. I'm like, I'm so glad that never happened.
Yeah, that's...
that would have been just real callous.
That would have been really bad. It's just like, dude.
Yeah, so there was a lot of stuff he clearly really wanted to keep going with this Drago stuff, and I thought this was a good place
I think it was
to put it. I think they got a lot more out of having Drago than just, because of Rocky 4. Yeah. It was like they were fully fleshed out and properly. Obviously, Victor was not an element of Rocky 4. Right. But, like, Ivan even gets fleshed out. Like, because I'm pretty sure they added that element of, like, Russia turned on him and his wife left. Yeah. That's not something you think about when you're watching 4. I've never watched a Rocky movie. Yeah, I think I'm going to watch Rocky 1.
I've only seen Rocky 1. And that was phenomenal. And I need to go back and watch the other Rockies now because I think...
I really don't think I can get through all of them, but I will try to watch the first one.
It's one of those movies
like an Oscar movie.
Yeah, I will. It's one of those movies where I will watch on my bike trainer.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, and because it's like more than anything, I love watching sports movies and like action movies while I'm on my bike.
Getting like amped up.
Yeah, just getting hyped up and all that kind of crap. It's really good. So I will watch them at some point. But I don't think it was addressed in the first one, but the whole idea. And even then, the things I really liked about this too, with the Victor and Ivan thing, and I'll talk more about I'm going to talk a lot about the Ivan and Victor stuff because I loved that dynamic so much. That during the final fight, like right before, where like Ivan was doing press and stuff like that, Victor looks at him and he's like, oh, this asshole's just using me to get back on top. He doesn't care about me, kind of deal. It's like building that much more, and then that's what I thought too. And then the point where he's like that, like I already talked about this, where he moves off screen, and I was like, oh, he's gonna walk away from him. He's like disappointed, all that kind of stuff to like motivate him to be like, like when he between the sets or whatever it is, where he's like, what are you doing? You're losing our championship. What's going on here? Like, you're losing it. I thought he was actually going to ditch him, but then when they throws in the towel, I was like, oh, and he says, like, it's okay, and he hugs him. I'm like, oh my God, this is beautiful. This is so beautiful. I love it.
I don't know. I mean, because the way I read that relationship was, I guess I already said earlier, that he's like, because I don't know if he thought he was being used, because I think he just had like, what do you call it? Stockholm syndrome, basically. Like, yeah. I think he was too far beyond, because like when he says like, oh, like mom left us, like I like why is she in the room with us? Yeah. Like, I don't want her here. But then he also like mentions like, I don't even really know her. Like, so that's why I felt like it was more like he is just so like, the movie is about him being able to see his dad as more than his trainer, and see him as like something more. So I don't know if he has like those kinds of thoughts of, you're using me to get on top. I think he's thinking like, me winning this will be able to have him be more than just my trainer, rather than what ends up happening, which is Ivan being like, oh, like I've just been treating him like my like. No, I don't even know what you call it. Not student, whatever a coach is to.
Padawan?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Like, he's like, I should be like, this is me being the father now. I'm no longer the trainer. Yeah. So it works out for Victor.
It really does. But like, and that's like the entire movie. I'm just like, I just want you to have your dad, man.
He needs someone.
Yeah, he needs someone. You just need some love. And it was like everything throughout the whole movie. It's just. when like that part in the car where he's running behind the. It's like when
I
I
thought
say
that was
faster,
interesting.
you go faster kind of deal. I just didn't care about him
Because
or
that
anything
was
like that.
that's what I thought was interesting was like obvious like when you see Victor do the car training,
Yep.
it's him being pushed by his dad. When
Yeah.
you see Adonis doing it, it's him catching up to Rocky.
Yeah, he's chasing Rocky, and
Yeah.
then the transition of when he finally like gets up, he's running ahead, and then like,
Yeah.
oh my god, when he started running fast, I'm like, yeah, I'm getting all hyped up.
Yeah.
It's all good. Yeah, that like I will. This movie did have a really really good training montage.
Mm-hmm.
That training montage between the both of them was just awesome. Like the visuals of him just like the battle rope thing that you see in the trailer, but I'm like, oh, to see that on the big screen, again,
was
like,
good.
that was nuts.
Also made me appreciate the original, not Rocky, but Creed score.
Mm-hmm.
Like when they brought it back, I was like, I didn't really like it in the first movie, but I really like it here.
Yeah,
I was like,
it made
okay,
me-
we don't need the Rocky music. We can have Creed music now. I like it.
It was really good. I liked a lot of this, everything that was going on in this movie. Yeah, it was really, really well done. It really was. Just didn't have the same energy as the first one, but to your point, because this is more character driven, it's less linear than the first one because there's so many parallels running along. But the first one was very, very like, nope, this is where we have to be kind of deal. And then this is like, yep, you're up and then you're down, and we're going to beat you up a little bit and then bring you back up.
I think if I were to say anything, I agree with you on the somehow giving the female characters more screen time, but still not giving them their own identities outside of where the women who suffer for our men. That was weird.
Yeah, that was really weird to me.
Because
like
I
that.
was like, oh man, like I'm so happy that Felicia Rashad actually has stuff to do, and I'm like, but all she's doing is talking about like Apollo and Adonis, and
Yeah.
I'm like, does she like care about anything or like?
She does,
Because I think she even convinces Tessa Thompson or Bianca to be like, just like, yeah, he's gonna be shitty, and then you just gotta realize he'll have to figure it out on his own.
Yep.
I thought she was gonna be like, leave now or something. Like he's crazy.
I never thought she was going to say that.
I thought she was, and then I was just like, oh, well, I guess we're setting another generation in motion of like, this is the life if
Yeah.
you want to date a
Yep.
boxer. And also, while I understand why the pacing was the way it was, I did find myself in certain scenes being like, man, like, there is that energy missing, which I guess you have to attribute to Ryan Coogler, but also feels like when you have a different writer as well, and everything that's just
Yeah, I just
Like
think Coogler and Michael B. Jordan, like, I think Michael B. Jordan is Coogler's muse or something.
Oh,
like
of course.
that. Yeah, just like how Tim Burton and Johnny Depp are,
he dropped Johnny Depp back to Michael Keaton, baby.
Oh, he definitely dropped him for sure.
back to
but-
Michael Keaton,
Yeah.
Batman days, Beetlejuice, and Dumbo. Boom.
Yes, sir. But yeah, this is a fantastic, fantastic movie. Milo Ventimiglia.
I'm never going to try and say that guy's name. From
Yeah.
Heroes and This Is Us.
Yeah.
I was happy to see him, never saw his movie.
Yeah.
So it didn't, like, because I was like, the Pauline, like, oh, he was legitimately in another movie. And I think this is the first movie that, like, carried over a character like that. Because even
Yeah.
Felicia Rashad is playing someone who was played by someone else.
Yes.
And I guess, obviously, Victor coming back. Sorry, Ivan.
Yep.
Coming back. So that was interesting because I'm like, oh, like, is he gonna, like, is this like a spin-off opportunity or something? But I just, my thing was like, I know there was a movie about him, but like, he's not in Creed at all.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know what happened there.
I don't know what happened there too.
I don't
and
know
I
what
was
happened
like,
between them.
That's why I want to like, for the Rocky people that have seen all the movies, like, obviously, hopefully, I can catch up with this. But the idea, what sat weird with me was just like, I don't know what happened between Rocky and him. The whole movie, he's like brooding, he's like, what do I do? Just like call or like it's not that easy.
It's like Home Alone.
complicated. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
he's
lot
that
of
guy that everyone thought killed his family and turned them into salt. And then he's like, I can't call my son. We had a fight. And then
Yeah.
Kevin's like, just call him. He's like, I guess you're right.
I mean, that was a nice little scene. But to me, it's just like what happened between them was that bad that he wasn't even there at the birth of his grandson, meeting the grandson for the first time. I'm like, I'm not convinced that they would be like, oh, come in, we're gonna invite you back into the family, kind of deal.
You got to start somewhere. I
gotta
understand
start
that.
somewhere.
I think that
It's a
makes
nice
sense,
wrap-up.
and I think what the idea is
It's
that
very
like
convenient, though. I felt.
if but it's just completing an arc that's obviously
absolutely.
happened over multiple movies.
Yeah.
Is that he needs to get back to his son.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to have his nephew in Adonis. He can actually reconnect with his family.
I was more along hoping. I think a more compelling thing would have been like if he actually dialed the number and said, "Hey," or something like that. It's Pops or whatever he wants to call himself, and then that would have been the arc, and then the next movie that he's on screen a little bit more.
That brings us to my next point. I want this to be the last movie.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
In the Creed franchise, you don't want any more.
They don't need any more of this.
I just don't see where else it can go.
Yeah. This is like Last Jedi to me, Yes, obviously
Stallone
there's
or of Michael B. Of Creed.
all of it.
Oh, really?
Like all of it. Like, yes, there's places you can go, but how compelling are you going to be able to make it?
Yeah.
Everyone seems to have settled into basically in a movie, like what is interesting is seeing like how someone gets to like their groove in life, like the where we all are. I'm assumingly right. You don't need to watch someone just go through their day-to-day thing of like you're watching someone in transition or in crisis and how they come out of it. Rocky has completed the arc of feeling guilt over what happened to Adonis's dad.
Yep.
He also is able to reconnect with his family.
Yep.
Adonis can now feel like he's a champ. So, I mean, the upshot of watching more of Adonis is he loses the title. Like there's nowhere else to go. Like he's in it. You're either going to watch him win or you're going to lose. But he has come to peace with what he's doing. Yeah. Unfortunately, they're not interested in what's going on with Bianca. She's got a kid now. I guess that's her thing.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah,
it's just absolutely.
I mean, but
sucks.
I did appreciate that she was able to go to the studio, and it's not like. Yes, at first he's like, "Oh, what do I do?" But like he found his way to connect with his daughter. I appreciate that. Again, it's setting up that there is a precedent that she can leave her baby with her husband, fiance, and do what she needs to do, and it's not a big deal. It's not like he was like, "Oh my God, are you serious?" He didn't. Like, he didn't try.
I appreciate that.
He didn't call her back. He called his mother, and then figured out on his own.
Yep.
So. Again, she's gone, and we already know she's signed. Again, what are we going to do? Watch her lose it, or just continue to be doing good?
Right.
I mean, and so like everyone is where they need to be.
It's a happy. It ties up everything.
Yeah, it is. It's nicely tied up. Either we start fresh with something, or you try and continue, and it's diminishing returns.
Yeah. The only way it can go, and they might possibly push this. I was thinking like. Well, if Stallone actually does die, which is weird because they did the cancer thing in Creed, they brushed over that real quick and was like, "Oh yeah, you no longer have cancer," and because like Creed took care of him when he was going through chemo or radiation or whatever it was he was doing, which was a nice little thing. But now it's just like, okay, where do you go because you can't have like Rocky just like die of another. Kind of thing. He can't have cancer again or anything like that.
Right, that's what I'm saying. There's nowhere
to go from this.
They've done a nice job of tying everything up.
Yeah. Like the only thing that can happen is Rocky dies.
Yeah. But this is why it's important to show his son and the reunion because you don't need to like lead people into, oh, what happens next? You can just be like, they're gonna be fine.
Yeah,
they've tied it
up now. That's the only place it could go. But even then, now it's just like you're forcing the death, and then letting Creed do his own thing. But at the same time, the whole point of this is that he needs someone that can train him. How do you replace the Rocky? I think it's a weird thing. So I agree with you. I don't think it would be good to have another sequel. It probably will, depending on how successful this movie is.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying people will listen to me.
Yeah.
Since I put an idea out onto the internet, what I'm saying is they shouldn't do it. I don't need any money.
I agree.
I just think you can tell. I mean, I know there was like, oh, we're gonna do a Victor and Ivan story, but
I don't.
I'm like,
think
I think this movie did a good job of tying up his stuff.
As compelling as the Victor and Ivan stuff was, that story is completed.
Yeah.
The only place it could go now is if Victor wins the title from Creed. And
But that's the thing. Their story is done. They didn't even do a thing like they did in the first Creed where they talk to each other after the fight and show each other. Yeah. It's just done. Like, he
it's
won.
so done.
They're going on their separate paths. You don't need to keep bringing them back together.
Because arguably Victor's championship, I felt he was chasing the championship because that's what he was convinced would get a father instead of a trainer.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now he has a father. He doesn't have the championship. He doesn't need the championship. He's still gonna train and do all that kind of stuff.
Like it's for him, it wasn't personal about I'm gonna, because they already won that fight of you killed that guy's dad. Like you're not. There's no room for you to be like I'm gonna get him. How dare he still be alive? Let's kill them all. So that for him it was nothing about that. It was just like okay, well this is what my dad wants to do, and maybe this will make him like me. So yeah, it's done.
Yep, it's all wrapped up.
I'm sure there will be another one of some sort.
Yeah, I'm sure there will be too.
I just think
it's... Well, I mean, if there's a writer out there that can write it really, really well, love to see it. But right now, I've exhausted these kind of thoughts and being like, I don't think they should make another one. They probably will. Mm-hmm. I agree with you on that. I don't think they should because everything's so nicely wrapped up. The only way you can go is you really, just brutally tear down Adonis by killing Tessa Thompson.
That's no,
but like seriously,
call it fridging the girlfriend.
You kill Tessa Thompson. You kill Stallone. He's got nothing but his kid. And he doesn't have a good relationship with her.
You don't have to kill Tessa Thompson. She can just leave him.
Yes, I know, but fair enough.
It's not a comic book movie.
No, that's true. Yeah, we've been in the comic book world too long. So yes, she could just leave him. Yeah, that's a possibility.
We don't have to kill off one of the two female characters.
Yeah. Great movie. Wanted Tessa Thompson's character to have more to do. That was independent of.
I mean, obviously, that doesn't work for what they were trying to do because then you start following her career. Yeah, which isn't the point. Of the movie. It's not adding to him. Yeah. So it's unfortunate. They gave her as much screen time as you could get, but yeah. So let's rate it. Yep. You go first this time, I think.
I'm doing 8.5.
Wow, I was way off on that. I really thought we were going to be closer. 7.5.
Really, eh?
I like it just as much as Fantastic Beasts 2. It was nice. I see the flaws in it. But I do think that the energy and the female stuff we've already talked about it. But those two things I think held it back. And
it did, yeah.
I don't have anything else intelligent to say about it. I feel like it hit this 7.5 range for me.
It was an 8.5 from the emotional tones of the father-son dynamic and all that kind of stuff. It pissed me off that. Well, I shouldn't say pissed me. It bothered me that Bianca.
Yeah, I think that's what I would say. It. Unfortunately, usually when I hear people criticize things, I'm like, oh, well, then clearly the movie wasn't catching you. And I think they were elements that made me think about not the movie anymore in the story and just think about why is this happening? Why am I feeling like this isn't as energetic and why are they giving so much screen time to just a bunch of women being like, well, yeah, you just got to deal with it if your husband is crazy and wants to kill himself. Yeah. So I was just like, it took me out in moment. There was two moments in particular I remember thinking about the making of the movie instead of just watching the movie. Yeah. And that's, I guess, how I came to 7.5.
Actually, you know what the funny thing is? If they did kill the Tessa Thompson Bianca character off and left her just with the daughter and nothing else, then it would just be a remake of Southpaw. So
I did not like Southpaw.
Yeah, you didn't like that movie. No. I enjoyed it. I didn't think it was his best movie, but I enjoyed it. Partially because I really like sports movies.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I still liked watching his training and stuff. Yeah, but I felt like whenever we'll talk about it off mic. I didn't think he used the training effectively until the very last time.
I agree.
I thought he would be building up things. Anyway, the point is, I liked the movie. I thought it was a worthy sequel. Unfortunately, there was some things that took me out of it, and also, it's done now. Let's. That's a nice way to end it.
Let's end on a high note, guys.
Just like Dark Knight Rises ended everything, this should end everything as well.
I agree.
Except for I like this better.
Yes, you clearly like this better than Dark Knight Rises. You can. I still love when you just randomly shit all over Dark Knight Rises.
Fuck that movie. All right. Thank you very much for listening. This has been Spoiled Rotten. We are on thatshelf.com with other great podcasts that you can look up. And also, if you want to hear past episodes, I don't remember when we joined, but I think we joined on episode 61. So if you want to hear episodes 1 through 60, go to tdfeverything.com/spoiledrotten, where you can find our Instagram, those old episodes, our Twitter, so you can get in touch with us with your opinions on this movie and any other movie we've rated. Our email's there, and the big thing that would really be helpful is if you subscribed on, or not even subscribed, but at least reviewed and rated on Apple Podcasts. Yeah. Subscribe wherever you want, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, if you want Apple Podcasts. But the review and rating thing is the important thing here for us. Because it's the least you could do, you assholes.
Throwing shade.
Just kidding with you.
Do all those things that Daniel said. Drop us a line. Let us know what you'd like to hear. Let us know if you hated this movie and why.
Because you're a hater if you hated this movie.
You hater. Yeah. Or let us know. Just get in touch with us.
Get in touch. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Cheers.
This has been a TDF Everything production, brah.